Om. Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. I render my salutations to the causeless cause of all and the rootless root of all. I place my prostrations at the feet of the liberated masters. I render my salutations to the divinity which is innate and inherent in all of us. Thank you so much, Mr. Vasudev and Mrs. Vani Vasudev, for giving me an opportunity to share few of my thoughts and views on the topic how to surrender and what is surrendering, titled as Surrender to the Unknown. Meditation and Study Circle is such a wonderful organization with which I have been fortunately associated for more than 20 years now. I was guided and mentored by my master, Mr. S. Krishnamurthy, and also Mrs. Rukmini Krishnamurthy, who were the founders of Meditation and Study Circle. I render my salutations to them. They are certainly here in a subtle plane. And I thank the audience of Meditation and Study Circle for always supporting me and being with me through the satsangs that I have shared. I enjoyed speaking to you people basically because you are serious spiritual sadhaks. And you have attended several satsangs, and many of you have been practicing what has been shared by various speakers with you, and many of you are even ardent readers. So I always feel the presence of synergy whenever I speak through this platform. So with this, I like to begin the satsang. And the topic, as I already said, is surrender to the unknown. The very word surrender is intriguing, interesting. Many of us deep down wish to surrender, isn't it? Deep down, you would like to move in a total surrender where all your worries are dissolved and you can simply rest. But you're afraid, and so every one of us is probably afraid of surrendering. We wish to surrender because we have been told in several lectures, we have been asked by scriptures to surrender, and that is the only path. And by surrendering, we will attain peace, we will attain moksha, we will attain liberation. So probably we are conditioned and we think Surrendering is an act which liberates us from all the problems, the immense stress, and a lot of misery that as human beings we do go through. Deep down, everyone wished to surrender, but at the same time, every one of us is afraid because we are afraid to surrender basically because surrendering to the universe is free falling into the unknown. We are inviting a free fall from known to unknown because the very word surrender means you should let go what all you know, what all are associated with you, and with what all you have identified yourself. Unless and until you let go of everything that is in the sphere of known for you, you cannot surrender. Surrender is an act which invites letting go of everything that is known. Maybe you will have to let go of your body consciousness, emotional consciousness, mental consciousness, with everything that you have identified yourself. Maybe you need to let go of the attachments that you have developed with respect to your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your ideas, your concepts, your conceptions, and your views, your viewpoints, your faith, your beliefs, your practices, your family, your property, your reputation, your respect, your glory, your awards, your power. Unless until you let go of everything with which you are attached, surrender is not possible. Because surrender is an act where you move from known to unknown and unknown to unknowable. Somebody asked once Jiddu Krishnamurti, "Sir, what is meditation?" He gave a simple answer to them. Meditation is a journey from known to unknown and unknown to unknowable. The path is clear. From known, you have to move to unknown, and from unknown to unknowable. This is the path of meditation. At the same time, this is the path of surrender also. Unless your lower self completely surrenders to the higher self, meditation cannot descend upon you. Meditation happens when you leave the realm of known and step into the realm of unknown and then to unknowable. See, surrender is not so easy, especially for people who are living mundane life and being occupied with worldly activities day in and day out. Hardly our consciousness gets elevated when we are in the humdrum of life, when we are so totally occupied with day-to-day activities which pull us to the mundane things. Surrendering is all about giving up notion that you can make reality different than what it is. When you are in day-to-day life, you try to control everything that's happening around you, within you. You are engaged in controlling everything because you think when you are in control of things, probably you are powerful, you are sane. The world also brings up a child in the same manner. The child is asked to be organized, very well planned, lead a life which is very well planned, organized, disciplined, and world expects the child to control everything and anything that comes into its contact. The teachers ask the child to behave like that. The parents at home teach the same thing. The siblings knowingly or unknowingly inculcate the same ideas. If you are in control of yourself, if you are in control of the environment in which you are living, probably you are living a productive life. This is what the world teaches us. But please try to understand what you are controlling and how much you can control. Whatever you try to control within and without, they come under the known sphere. Whatever you know, probably you may try to control, but you would not be able to control everything that you know. Certain things in the known sphere you can control, but not many things. Probably you don't know that you cannot control your own body. You cannot control your own emotions. You cannot control your own thoughts unless until you really evolve spiritually. In day-to-day life, how often we keep grumbling, we keep cursing, we keep demeaning, derating others, we keep rejecting what comes in our way, we keep denying whatever is happening to us. In the process, we are trying to control ourselves and we are trying to control everything around us without understanding and realizing that controlling is not possible. At least controlling is not possible always, all the time, with all the things. You really surrender when you come to know that you really cannot control anything and everything for that matter. You realize that controlling is not something which is possible all the time. To understand that, probably it takes a long time for a lot of sadhaks. We waste a lot of time by molding everything which comes in our way according to our own likings and dislikings. But a moment comes in life when you automatically come close to the point of realization where you know that you don't have the answers and there is nothing else that you can do to change a situation. Life is such that it keeps throwing challenges at you and several unexpected circumstances crop up, which probably you are not even able to comprehend sometimes. You try to control the situation. You try to organize that particular circumstance. You like to analyze. You like to understand. You like to resolve so that you can have a control upon it. But it may not be possible many times. And you reach a threshold when you really realize that it's impossible to control things and it's impossible to carry on forward with the burden of the known. And your mind, which has been struggling since a long time to control things, take things into the hand, regulate what's happening in life, gets so much tired, and it says, so far and no more. So far and no more. The meaning is, so far I traveled with you, my mind, but I realize now I cannot move even 1 inch forward from here onwards, carrying you. I'm tired. And I'm surrendering. So surrendering is all about giving up. So do you give up everything then? Is surrender something negative? Definitely not. Surrender is 100% a positive act. Then I said, giving up everything. Yes. You give up everything there. Not every person can give up everything. There are very few people who have the courage, who have that sustenance, who have that potential, who have reached the threshold where they say, so far and no more. But before they say that so far and no more, they would have struggled through a lot of situations and circumstances which were testing, which were grueling, and which posed a lot of hardships. You cannot be a lazy person and for everything you cannot say, I let go. That's not the act of surrender. Surrender is an act which happens after a period of time when you struggle through, when you fight through, when you sustain through, and when you go through, when you face through a lot of hurdles, a lot of obstacles. And it's probably the ultimate situation when the mind gets so tired that it wants to take off from the burden. See, when do you actually reach that particular stage? The threshold is different. It is different from a person to person. And there are many other factors which also influence a person to reach that particular stage, where surrender happens automatically. Surrender is not a willful action. Please remember, Dr. Nagesh said we have to surrender. I have passed through a lot of tough situations, a lot of obstacles and hurdles I have passed through. Now I want to surrender. I want to surrender. Even n number of times you say, I want to surrender, you will never be able to surrender, because the very will and wish to surrender itself becomes an obstacle. Surrender is an automatic act which just happens automatically. You cannot induce it. You cannot keep inviting it. The very process of longing for surrender will distance you from the act of surrender. So, what exactly happens when your mind says so far and no more? And when this comes really from inside, from your higher level of consciousness, you give up all your struggles and then trust that unknown, trust that unknowable, trust the universe, and you trust the higher self, and you move on to a different level of life where you have gone through transmutation. It's not just transformation. When surrender happens naturally, you move to a different level of consciousness. You have transmuted. There is a mutation that has taken place in your consciousness. It's not a simple transformation. Transformation is a movement from A to B. I was like this. I would be like this from tomorrow. The movement is transformation, because you are moving from one state to another state, and it may take a little bit of time to move, and it comes within the span of a particular time period, and this is transformation. People should spiritually transform. There is no two ways about it. All of us should transform from A to B, B to C, C to D. And that's how the spiritual progress takes place. But a time comes in life when you move from A to nowhere. You move from somebody to nobody. You move from something to nothing. And this movement happens in a wink of eye. It happens so spontaneously. It happens so instantaneously. You are not even aware of it. Your consciousness undergoes total mutation. It is a movement from somewhere to nowhere. It's a movement from somebody to nobody. In no time, you become nobody. Somebody is the ego, and nobody is the ego-free state. We always think we are somebody. This sense of feeling that I am somebody. I have a name, I have a place, I have a family name, I have family members, I have friends, I belong to this religion, I belong to this caste, I belong to this creed, I belong to this sex, I belong to this faith. All these are the identifications. And these identifications represent our ego. And this ego is the known. And we struggle through this known for a long period of time. Wherever we struggle, wherever we fight, wherever we scuffle, wherever we quarrel, wherever we grumble, wherever we murmur, wherever we mutter, wherever we demean, wherever we derate, wherever we think, wherever we feel, we are in the realm of known. And all these acts are the acts of ego, small letter ego, the lower self. This lower self, which keeps working day in and day out in the sphere of known, sometimes expands its realm by reaching the unknown. And when it reaches the unknown, it slightly expands and translates the unknown into known. This is the process of learning. Whenever we learn, what happens is our known expands into a part of unknown, and that part of unknown becomes known in the process. And every time when you expand your known into unknown and bring a part of unknown into your known, you are engaged in the process of learning, which is so sacred, which is so sacred. But known is a drop and unknown is an ocean. However much you try, known cannot encroach completely into unknown and bring the whole of unknown into its realm. However much you learn, you would not be able to learn and acquire even a drop from the ocean of knowledge and wisdom. Our great spiritual leaders, yogis, saints, sages knew this very well. They knew that the realm of unknown is vast, immense, and it is impossible to translate the unknown into completely known. That's why they realized the potential, and they also realized that their potential has a limit. And beyond that, if we have to move forward, the only way is to surrender. I remember a wonderful poem from Mankutimmana Kagga, which talks about surrender. You know, D.V. Gundappa was an evolved soul, and he gave us wonderful spiritual message through his Kaggas. I just like to share one Kagga, which is an eye-opener with respect to the act of surrender. He says, Sharanu jivana rahasyadali satvadali, Sharanu jivanava sumavenipa yatnadali, Sharanantaratma gambhira prashantiyale, Sharanu vishwatmadali mankutimma. Sharanu jivana rahasyadali satvadali. Life is a mysterious phenomenon. Just surrender to the mysterious life and the essence of life. Surrender to the profound serenity which is within you. surrender to the divine within you. The call here by DVG is to surrender. Who is to surrender? And with whom should I surrender? My known should surrender to the unknown and the unknowable. That is why he says, Sharanantaratma Gambhira Prashantili. You will have to surrender to the serenity within you. We are unable to even experience the serenity, the peacefulness, the ananda within us. Why? It's because there is so much noise that we have created by working day in and day out in the sphere of known. We always keep engaged ourselves in the realm of known. The realm of known is the noise. This noise has masked, it has masked the serenity within us. That's why Devi Gundappa is giving a call. Please surrender to the profound serenity, which is a higher self within you. Silence is God. The profound serenity prevailing within every soul, within every soul is the God within. But unfortunately, we are so engaged in the drama which is going on in the lower self that we are unable to experience the peacefulness of the higher self. That's why he says, Sharanu Vishwatmadali Mankutimma. Surrender to your universal consciousness. Surrender to your higher self. Surrender to your unknown self. The call is very clear. The call clearly says, you need to elevate your consciousness from lower self to higher self. And that happens when the chatter that is going on in the lower self is silenced. Brahman, or the eternal truth, or the God, what you say, is omnipresent and ever mysterious to us, greatly unknown to us, and also unknowable to us. So, surrender is the only call. Surrender to your profound serenity within and surrender to the universal consciousness. Surrendering is not a physical act. It's not an external or outer act. I go to a temple, I prostrate myself in front of God. Is it surrender? No, it's not surrender. Because the very meaning of surrender clearly says you need to let go of everything which is cluttered there in your lower self. Surrender is a state of mind. It's not a state of your body. You prostrate in front of the deity or the God does not mean surrendering. Surrender is a state of mind where you simply let go of your known and move to the unknown. You move from ego to egoless state. We need to understand that the whole life is a process of expanding our realm of known and translating a part of unknown into known. This is what is learning all about, as I said earlier. Remember, known means what all we know. What all we know. With what all we have identified ourselves. It is like the shore of an ocean. Known is the shore of an ocean where we are standing. We always stand with the known. We are always occupied with the known. And known is like the shore of an ocean. But the unknown is the ocean itself. I am a small creature carrying the realm of known and standing on the shore of known, observing the unknown, which is so vast, immense, and abundant. This unknown is right in front of us. It's the ocean. Imagine yourself standing on the shore of an ocean. You are the known, and definitely the ocean is unknown. You are merely watching the ocean from outside. That unknown is so vast, and probably it is unknowable also. But remember one very important fact. If you are the known and standing on the shore, and you wish to enter into unknown, what should you do? If you wish to enter into the unknown, that is the ocean, you cannot stick your legs to the shore that is known. You need to leave the shore and step into the unknown. Without leaving the known shores, you cannot enter into the unknown ocean. But unfortunately, we are not ready to leave the known. That is the shore of the ocean, basically because we are scared. We are afraid. We have identified ourselves with everything that is there in the shore. And we think there is no entity for us. If we leave everything that is known to us, without leaving the shores or without pulling out your legs from the shore and walking or wading into the ocean water, you can never enter into the unknown. This is where the problem comes. I live and I die with all that is known to me. I cling to everything, I attach to everything, maybe a material, maybe a non-material, maybe an idea, maybe my house, maybe my property, maybe my wife, maybe my children. I cling to everything that is known to me. I am not ready to actually leave any of those things with which I have identified. If that is the case, how can I move from known to unknown? So what it means is, abandon the known. The known is the ego. The known is the past. Because the known creates thoughts within us. The thoughts majorly relate to past. Only when we are able to get rid of all that is accumulated in our mind as our experiences, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, memories, and all that rotten garbage, how can we step into unknown? We have cluttered our lower self with our own thoughts, emotions, feelings, experiences, memories. And this is a rotten stuff. It is so stale. And this stale stuff that we have stuffed into our lower self has become an obsession to us. We are obsessed. And we consider all these are our possessions. How can we leave these possessions? Because the possessions are possessing us. We think we are possessing the possessions, but in reality, the possessions are possessing us. We are not ready to leave all this. Unless the rotten garbage is deleted or eliminated, we cannot move to the unknown. Because this rotten garbage is the known. And unless we transcend the known, we cannot get into the unknown and the unknowable, the God within and the God without, and that's the inner silence. We are all so conditioned to live every moment with hundreds of thoughts, and at any moment, our presence is impacted profoundly by our past experiences, our past circumstances, our own thoughts, our own memories. Is it possible to shed this painful, heavy garbage which we are always carrying? If you have to carry some 2 or 3 kilos of weight in your hand from a shop, grocery shop, to your house, you will be waiting to reach the house, carrying that weight, and the moment you come to your house, you just drop it. You cannot carry 2-3 kilos of grocery for few minutes, but all of us are carrying quintals and tons of thoughts and emotions from our past. And we are carrying that continuously in our minds. Is it possible to shed this painful, heavy garbage, what you call known? If so, our inner noise reduces, inner clutter is decluttered, the ego dissolves, and silence prevails. Silence doesn't enter into us from outside. Please don't think when we get rid of the known, silence comes from somewhere outside. Definitely not. Silence is very much there within us. Bliss is very much there within us beyond silence. But to experience that silence, we need to declutter. What all we did till now is stored as impressions within our mind. Every impression that we created in the mind is working in the realm of known and trapping us day in and day out from transcending the known. And silence doesn't enter us from outside. Rather, silence was, is, and will be always there. And that's the God within. But we have created so much on noise inside that we are unable to live the God inside us. We are not living the God. Probably we are living the devil. Both God and devil are inside us. The devil is in the lower self and the God is in the higher self. We have given ourselves easily into the hands of devil, and we have not bothered about the God within us, that is a higher self. All that known or ego is the noise distracting us from the unknown, which we are. Our possessions, attachments, knowledge, awards, power, glory, respect, prestige, esteem, reputation, everything that we have created around us or imagined by us forms the heavy burden of known that has trapped us very badly to the world. Are you ready to let go all that psychologically? Letting go does not mean give away everything. Sir, I have a house, I have my wife, I have my children, I have my property, I have my bank balance, I have my wealth, I have my lands. If I let go all that, is it act of surrendering? Please, I like to tell you, merely physically letting go of all these things is foolishness. There is no need to physically let go. You need to let go the psychological attachment that you have with all these things, because all these things come under the sphere of known. You don't physically separate. There is no need. The need is to psychologically detach. Are you ready to let go all that psychologically? That is the question. That is true surrender. That is true surrender. That is precisely the reason why scriptures stress upon being dispassionate to everything and also prescribe austerities. Most of the religions, most of the scriptures prescribe austerities and also guide us to be dispassionate. ಹೊರಗೆ ಲೋಕಾಸಕ್ತಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಸಕಲ ವಿರಕ್ತಿ, ಹೊರಗೆ ಕಾರ್ಯ ಧ್ಯಾನ ಒಳಗದರ ಉದಾಸೀನ, ಹೊರಗೆ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿ ಭಾರ ಒಳಗದರ ತಾತ್ಸಾರ, ವರಯೋಗ ಸೂತ್ರವಿದು ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. So beautifully, explicitly stated by D.V. Gundappa. You need not have to leave everything in the world. You be in the world, but not be attached to the world. There's nothing wrong in being in the world, but don't allow the world to get into yourself. Okay. So the sphere of known is an obsession to humankind. Every obsession strengthens the sense of known in us. The only way to handle known is to simply be aware of it. And don't identify oneself with all the stuff in the known. Be aware. Awareness is a very strong light within us. Be aware of what is happening in your mind. Be aware of your thoughts. Be aware of your feelings. When you are totally aware of what's happening in the mind, you will never identify with the mind and with what's happening in the mind. You are not aware. You are automatically thinking, you are automatically feeling, you are automatically crying, you are automatically walking, you are mechanically eating, you are mechanically talking. Much of what you do every day happens mechanically and automatically. And that's when the impressions get formed very seriously. When you bring anything and everything that's happening within you under the torchlight of awareness, impressions are not created. You just observe and you are in the present. And you don't store it. So please understand that all this becomes an obsession. Strong sense of not getting identified with the things which surround you can also create another obsession. Sir, I don't want to get attached with everything that is around me. Let me not attach. Let me detach. Let me detach. If you keep thinking like that, if you keep intentionally acting like that, the very, very act of not getting identified with things becomes an identification of you. And you get identified with the act of not getting identified, and that becomes an obsession. So then what am I supposed to do? You don't do anything. You can't do anything. Who are you to do anything? Realize that you are nobody to do anything. Because when you say that I want to do something or anything, still you are with the body consciousness. Still you are with the mind consciousness. It's a thought again. What do I do is the question. Who is asking this question? It is your mind. That means to say your mind is still working. You are at the thought level. And thoughts come from past or from future. Thoughts never relate to present. And the moment you are in the thought, what do? I am helpless. It's your mind which is talking. And your mind is nothing but a representation of your ego. And when your ego is talking, you are in the realm of known. How can you go to unknown? Many times the audience asks, Sir, what do you mean then? What am I supposed to do? How do I surrender? Who is asking this question? It's your mind. Your mind is a known. It is a clutter which is asking you this question, or asking me this question. You're still in the sphere of known. So what are you supposed to do? You understand what you are supposed to do. There is nothing to do. There is nothing to do. The moment you stop doing, everything happens on its own. On its own, everything happens. Osho, that's why wonderfully says, Osho, Rajneesh, Acharya Rajneesh wonderfully says, the basic question is that inside one should be perfectly empty while listening. You should be perfectly empty while you are listening. As you are listening to this satsang, you should stop analyzing, discriminating. You should stop probing, prodding questions within you. Can you simply listen? Can you listen without taking any stand? Can you simply listen without criticizing the speaker and his ideas? Can you simply listen without supporting the speaker's ideas and viewpoints? Simply when you listen, you have moved from known to unknown. That's awareness. That is a sign of maturity. That is a sign that you have evolved. So he says, one should be perfectly empty while listening, empty while seeing, perfectly empty while touching. No prejudice for or against, staying uninvolved and having no subtle leanings, because the leanings destroy the truth. See, what happens when you move from known to unknown, and if your mind is still working, taking stand or taking stance or taking the unknown with its own viewpoints, you are coloring the unknown with the brush of known. First and foremost, unless you leave the known completely, you cannot move to the unknown. And unfortunately, we people are so preconditioned that sometimes when we step into the unknown and still our subtle mind is working, what it will do is it will take something unknown into the realm of known and color it as per the known. As per the known. You can never see things as they are. You see things as you wish to be, as you wish to see the things. This is where the problem, the crux of the problem is, we are not ready to let go of the stuff which is there in the realm of known. That's why he says, when you are perfectly delineated yourself from your lower self, that is from your lower mind, full of thoughts and emotions, having no leanings at all, allowing truth to be as it is, how it is, not coloring it in the view of my known. This is when you have allowed unknown to be as it is, and you are no longer in chaos. We create a chaotic life basically because when unknown enters into our known, or when we expand our known into unknown, we soon color the unknown using the brush of known. And this creates a terrible problem. We are not receiving the truth as it is. We are not ready to do that. When you reach a stage where you can see the unknown as it is, first time you are in perfect alignment with the present. Hence, you start gathering a center, a nucleus. You are no longer the same person because you received the truth as it is. You could receive the truth as it is because you did not receive the truth through your mind. Because mind is the known. Probably you received the truth from a higher realm of consciousness. Your higher realm got activated and it received the truth as it is and did not mold the unknown as per the wishes of known, and you created a nucleus of your own, and you have probably transmutated. You underwent a transmutation, a flash of truth that you experienced by transcending your mental consciousness and reaching the supramental consciousness. The act of surrender is a complete act. It's a complete act. You cannot say, sir, I want to partially surrender. I want to partly surrender. It's impossible. Either you surrender or you have not surrendered. There is no state in between. Impossible. One cannot partially surrender because it's a transforming act. Rather, what happens is not even transformation. What happens is transmutation. And transmutation, as I earlier said, is a movement from somebody to nobody and from something to nothing. If that is the path where somebody should become nobody, I'm scared. If I have to become nothing, what all with which I have identified has to dissolve, I'm scared. Because I'm scared of the very term called nobody and nothing. I have lived throughout my life becoming something, becoming somebody. I became a dentist, I became a teacher, I became a lecturer, I became an assistant professor, I became an associate professor, I became a professor, I became a head of the department, I became Professor Emeritus, I'm called as a researcher, I do conduct workshops of research methodology and statistics to hundreds of my, participants. I conduct so many seminars, I conduct so many workshops. At home, I am a father. At home, I am a husband. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I have so many friends of my own. I'm a friend for so many friends. I have my own kith and kin. I have my own property. If I have to become nothing, all that I accumulated in the last 5 or 6 decades is just dissipating, dissolving. I'm not ready to accept it. I'm clinging to everything that I accumulated over a period of time. That's why practicing spirituality becomes so difficult as we grow up. And beginning spiritual persuasion in the second half of life is very difficult, because by then you have created so many of your own attachments and your own clingings. There are so many things to cling, basically because you accumulated. If spirituality is practiced right from the childhood, the child knows that it should go through everything, putting its heart, soul, and mind into one place. It should acquire, it should accumulate, but it should not attach to everything that it accumulated and acquired. Unfortunately, this is not taught in our schools. It was taught to our children in ancient India in gurukuls. Gurukuls used to actually teach because the mentors there, the guru there, used to closely supervise the disciples, guide them, train them, mentor them on the path of dispassion, vairagya. And we have taken up Western philosophy, Western education, which has created a terrible chaos in the world now. We're all scared of becoming nothing or nobody. We are happy being of something and being somebody. That feeling of being something or somebody is the bogus ego that we have created. This bogus ego is an illusion within us. It is the false self within us. Because the moment I die, none of these things will come with me. That doesn't mean to say we should not love all this. Love. True love happens when you are dispassionate. When you are passionate of the materials or non-materials that you have in your life, you are attached to it, and no more it is called love. It is called attachment. When you are dispassionate with your wife, when you are dispassionately treating your daughter, your possessions, whatever you call, then you are in love with it. True love happens where there is dispassion. Else, everywhere there is passion. And when you're so passionate about every object that comes into your life, every being that comes into your life, how can you expect to transcend all those attachments and move from known to unknown? You need to surrender that false self that you have created over a period of time by accumulating and attaching with everything. Life is realized when we start surrendering, we stop fighting, and then we truly begin enjoying. And this act of surrendering happens naturally. What you need to do is become dispassionate. See, what all I'm talking today in satsang is something related to viveka. Viveka means discriminate what needs to be done, what needs not be done, what should not be done. With the viveka, you need to practice vairagya. That is a thing that you should do in order to come closer to surrender. Become dispassionate with everything. This is something which you need to do. You cannot surrender. As I said, the very attempt to surrender is an obstacle to surrender. Don't get into that act at all. That happens when it is supposed to happen. What you need to do is just be aware, discriminate between right and wrong, become dispassionate with objects in life and with beings in life, and then a miracle of miracles happen. Life is realized when we start surrendering. That means to say, preparing yourself to surrender. But our education teaches ambition to conquer. Ambition to conquer, whether land, property, glory, power, whatever ad infinitum, has been seen for several millennia. And ambition to conquer created Ramayana, created Mahabharata, and created every other legendary things that happened in the world. Being ambitious, being desirous, being with possessive attitude, created a hell on this earth. And all that happened because our consciousness invariably worked in the sphere of known. Everybody is trying to conquer something. People want to conquer even nature. How is it possible to conquer nature? One can only destroy nature, cannot conquer nature. Prakruti, Aditi, Parvati, how can you conquer? You cannot conquer. Nature is an angel. Nature is so powerful. How can a human being or few human beings conquer the nature? They can only destroy and leave the nature. That's what is happening now. One will destroy nature and cannot conquer nature. Unfortunately, humanity is at loggerheads with nature. The play of little ego within us is causing catastrophes in the world. The little ego, the lower self, is creating a mess in this world. There is nothing to conquer. Whom do you want to conquer? Whom do you want to control? Everything in this world happens according to a particular law. The universe has its own laws. The universe has its own dictum. Things happen for a reason. Neither you are an accident nor your life is an accident. You have been sent here for a higher purpose, and you have been sent here by a higher force. Because there are no accidents in life. Everything happens for a reason. But unfortunately, ego thinks otherwise. And it engages itself in conquering everything. If at all, if there is anything to conquer, conquer your own ego. Conquer your own false self. Even that ego you cannot conquer because the very ego is a falsehood. It has no existence. It has no entity. It is a false perception of yours. It has no existence. To conquer this lower self, the best path is to become aware of what's happening in this false self. And to become aware, the path is meditation. Bodhidharma sat in front of a wall for 9 years to become enlightened. A great Buddhist monk and saint, Bodhidharma, simply sat in front of the wall, a plain wall, not even a picture or an image there, for 9 years. In that period, he emptied all his thoughts and feelings. He emptied his known self. Imagine sitting in front of a plain wall day in and day out for 9 years. What a great sadhana it is. It is the path of meditation in Zen Buddhism. Zen Buddhism has its own path. That's precisely the reason why in Bhagavad Gita, in the last chapter, what you call as the 18th chapter, what you call Mokshopadesha Yoga, the preachings for moksha, it has around 78 verses. In the 66th verse, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami mashuchaha. This is a great verse of Bhagavad Gita. It wonderfully says, Sarva dharman parityajya. Oh Arjuna, leave everything. Detach from everything. Delete everything. Sarva dharman parityajya. What all I taught you till now, you just renounce, relinquish. Mamekam sharanam vraja. Surrender completely to me. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. I will cleanse all your sins and I will grant moksha ishyami mashacha. I will grant liberation to you. You may feel, what is this Lord Krishna saying? Surrender to me, I will cleanse your sins. Lord Krishna is nobody outside. Lord Krishna is within you. It is the Krishna consciousness which is within you. It is a higher self within you. It is the Lord within you. It is the call of flute within you. It is the divine within you. It is the Almighty within you. It is a universe within you. And the call is to just look at me. But unfortunate, the lower self is so preoccupied with the known. It is so entangled with the known. It is not actually looking at the unknown. That unknown and the unknowable within ourselves, that is our higher self. And when such a thing happens, we have truly surrendered. Please understand and always remember that just like a boat floating on the river, you just float. You do not have to row the boat, just let go the boat. It is an empty boat. Shunya naveya navikanagu. Shunya nave. Shunya nave means it doesn't have anything called known. It's a mind which is very, very clean. Very, very clean. It has emptied all thoughts, feelings, impressions, samskaras. So it is an empty boat. Allow the empty boat to just float. You are not to swim, just float. When you just float, the river itself will take you to the ocean. When you try to swim, it amounts to ego. When can you allow your boat to just freely float? Only when you have emptied it, when there is no ego in it. When you have the trust that when you allow the boat to simply float, it will reach the ocean. That is the God or the universal consciousness. Remember always, wherever one reaches, that is the destination. Wherever the mind is free from all the goals, there alone is God. Don't create a goal in front of you. The moment you create a goal in front, you are desirous. The moment you are desirous, you are ambitious. The moment you are ambitious, you are caught in the trap of known. Just be a nomadic. Just allow yourself to float. Don't think about surrender at all, because that which thinks about it is the barrier, and therefore no one can surrender. Surrender is not an act of doing at all. It is an act of being, not an act of doing. It just happens. You cannot go to it. It comes to you. You cannot go to surrender. You cannot go to surrender. Surrender comes to you. It dawns upon you. Any effort on your part will hinder its coming to you. So then what am I to do? Then again the question, what am I to do, is a question with which a lot of these satsangs end. Who is asking this? What am I to do? So be in acceptance with what is. Be in acceptance with what is. When you are in acceptance with what is, you become totally open-minded. When you become open and effortless and completely relaxed and passive, total acceptance is the precursor to surrender. Without accepting the situation as it is, how it is, where it is, never surrender happens. So when you are in total acceptance, you are in present. Your past and your future are totally disappear. When you are in the perfect present, when you are in total acceptance, when you are aligned with what is, you transcend the known and you enter the unknown and then to the unknowable. So, being in the present is a challenge, and that happens. You need not fight for it. Only thing you need to do is develop viveka, practice vairagya, and also become a virtuous person. Follow sadachara. The rest happens. Only thing required is being totally patient and sustaining all the sadhana in total silence. Thank you very much for all your patient listening.